Better rely on winning next season. A Cleveland Browns podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back for episode 4 of the Better Rely on Winning Next Season podcast. I'm Adam. I'm here with my co-host Marty again. We're going to talk some Browns, do some game recap, talk about the trades that were made, and finish with our predictions and a little brief history session, I guess. Another game under 20 points. We haven't scored 20 points yet this season. I think we haven't scored 20 points in 11 straight games, something along those lines. 14 of our last 17 have been under 20 points. It seems to be that magic number we can't get to. And, who you got to put it on? You got to put it on Kevin and his offense. Where's the imagination? Where's the drive? We seem to have the weirdest offense. Just everything is kind of discombobulated. Nothing flows together. It's a run here, a pass there, and I can't see what they're doing. I don't understand it. I don't understand why they can't. This game they had 5 chances to put it away, couldn't get anything going, and another loss. We should be 3-2, and we're 1-4. The season's basically thrown away at this point. And, I don't know who else is to blame but Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin's done, man. He's not a head coach. I'm sorry. We came in here 5 years ago, I believe it's been maybe 6 years, and it's just supposed to be his great offensive mind, but it's not shown. You have the McVays, you have all these younger coaches that got their chances, that were hot coordinators, and they're succeeding. It's his offense is just, it's not shit. It's shit. It's trash. It's garbage. We could sit there and say all the quarterbacks he's had. Well, you had Baker early on. Well, he had immature problems. Well, I'm starting to think maybe it was you, Kevin. Maybe you couldn't work with him, and he's seen your bullshit playbook. It was like, you know what? I'm trying to do my thing. I'm trying to go out and win, and yeah, we're gonna bump heads because you're trash. But that's a whole different thing too. With Baker. But again, it's Watson. Is Watson really to truly blame for how bad he is, or was it how bad the fucking playbook was? Is it how Kevin can't coach? Could that be it? I don't understand how Watson could be this top level quarterback year and a half prior to coming here, and then he goes straight to shit, like one of the statistically worst quarterbacks that we've ever had on our team. You can't put it all on Watson. But I don't know. I'm just over Stefanski. We'll talk about his future here in a little bit, but just for the recap of the game, the whole debacle, the timeouts, the play calling in the end of the fourth quarter. We had 4 possessions, 3 plays, 9 yards. Punt. Next possession, 3 plays, 4 yards. Punt. After that, punt. 5 plays, 17 yards. And then our last possession, 3 plays, negative yard. That ain't gonna get it done. I'm sorry. That game should have been won. The offense actually did enough, to put us in position to win. The defense didn't come through. Complimentary football. Again, I don't see, Kevin's offense winning in the NFL. I'm sorry. He's had, one probably different quarterback. You can't find one to get any kind of winning formula. And don't give me that shit about Flacco 2 years ago with Lightning. That was a fluke. I'm sorry, it was a fluke.
Yeah, and you talked about the quarterbacks. Like he's a guy that you run my system. I don't build my system to you. You run my system, and I think that's a big thing where he didn't see Baker as a guy that could run his system. He obviously Watson, can't run his system. Gabriel's been the closest thing because, I don't know if he's a yes man or it's just the way he plays. I can see that, he wants the small passes. He wants the 18-yard drives with 9 minutes eaten up off the clock. That's what he wants to do. And, I don't think Gabriel did bad in this game. 19 for 33, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Judkins first game over 100 yards. Fanning with his first NFL touchdown. The offense did well until it didn't. And you got to look at the guy that's calling the plays. And he's had a scapegoat, for a couple of these years. Oh, it's this guy's fault. It's that guy's fault. Because he was never calling, he wasn't calling the plays that time. So it wasn't his fault. But he's definitely calling the plays now. And if you can't figure out how to beat these defensive coordinators, they're going to make you look really bad. And they made him look really bad. We've had that. You look at last week with Detroit, first drive, and then literally nothing. You can't tell me you can't make in-game adjustments. You can't tell me you can't figure out something. Where is someone to tell him, hey, the defense is doing this? Like, why don't we try this play or something along those lines? He doesn't make adjustments. He doesn't do anything. I'm just going to keep doing these plays, and then one day they're going to work. One day they're going to get you fired is what's going to happen. And I don't know there's going to be clamoring for him to be another head coach, but obviously an offensive coordinator, probably. I don't know if you guys anybody saw the thing we did with the Vikings guys, but they had a lot of bad things to say about Kevin Stefanski too. Just the things they saw in Minnesota as the offensive coordinator. So I think he uses his "I'm the smartest man in the room" routine way too much. I think he uses the "hey, look over there while I do this," and it never works because everybody's just staring at you. He's not getting it done as a head coach. And it goes back to the problem we always seem to have, where we get these guys either offensive or defensive, and they're our head coach, and they can't let that side of the ball go. They can't learn to be the head coach. They have to be the head coach and the defensive coordinator, or the head coach and the offensive coordinator. And that's where Kevin's failing. Kevin's failing miserably. He should be managing the team. He should be doing what he's supposed to do as head coach, and he's not. He is too focused on the offense to where it's not going well. And you see what we're getting. We're 1-4. Like we're basically out. I mean, we're not necessarily out of it with this division. This division's kind of wonky right now. It's kind of weird. We still do have a chance, but with what we're seeing, I don't know. I don't know how much of a chance we actually do have.
Yeah, I think they said the Browns still have an 8% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe I truly believe the seat is hot on him, for his coaching job. If somehow they pull out a win this week, which we'll talk about the game coming up later, but maybe it will cool down the seat a little bit. But at the end game, I just don't think his style is going to succeed in the NFL. We've seen it too much. We don't throw the ball downfield. Now, granted, we don't have a lot of guys to get separation, but you still got to try. You still got to make the effort. You got to try the defense guess. You might be able to get one of these tight ends going down the seam. You might be able to get some separation from Isaiah Bond. It's something's got to change. Something you got to, like you said, he runs his style and expects everybody to fall in damn line and just run it how he wants to. But the problem is you don't have the personnel to really do the shit that you have, and your style sucks, dude. You got your 5-yard, drop, dump passes, and I don't know. I just it's just very vanilla. It's very plain. I get it, Gabriel. His first start, you don't want to give him too much overload, but there's been patterns of his style. The only time I really seen some success really was when Baker was here. Okay. And also with Flacco, even though it was a freaking little run, but we were moving the ball downfield. We were taking those shots. And you see what happened. We were scoring points. We were winning football games. But for some reason, that's went away. There's a lot of variables that goes into that. But ultimately, you're the coach. You find ways to do it. Look at the great coach. These young guys have gotten chances. The McVays, the Shanahans, like I was mentioning. They've figured it out. Shanahan's winning with backups in every major position on his offense, and he still finds ways to win because he's a great coach. He knows how to call plays. He knows what an offense takes to win in the NFL. And to me, Stefanski doesn't have that. I'm sorry. Bye. Go do a commercial for Just for Men because he does got a nice beard. Like, I try to line my shit up nice. But that dude, I'll give him credit there. But in all seriousness, I'm over it. What do? Do we wait till the bye? Do we just promote Schwartz? Do we wait till the end of the season? I don't know.
Yeah, and Shanahan, you mentioned Shanahan. That's why he's such a great coach because he builds around his quarterback. He knows what the strengths are. He figures them out and he runs great plays. Stefanski's not. I have not seen that yet from him, and it's always been the excuse of, well, he doesn't have the quarterback he wants. He doesn't have the this piece that he wants or that. We've given him a lot of excuses, and I'm done with the excuses myself. Yes, he's definitely on the hot seat. 75% of our coaches since 1999 have been fired after a Pittsburgh game, and I could see if this one goes off the rails, he may not make it back from Pittsburgh. He may not. I don't, and if that's the case, I guess, Jim Schwartz is going to have to step up as the head coach. And hell, I'm sure he's learned from his mistakes. He's going to put somebody in charge of that defense that knows what they're doing. He's going to put someone in the offense in charge of the offense and knows what they're doing, and he's going to manage the team. Like, I believe that, but I could be wrong with that too. He might turn out the same way. But he's got to be on a short leash at this point. And like rolling into our next topic, the Joe Flacco trade and Greg Newsome trade, but specifically the Joe Flacco trade. In his press conference, it didn't seem like he had any idea that was coming. He said they were surprised. And that tells me that Barry went and did it without consulting him. And now we're making decisions without the head coach about the quarterback position. Seems like a little bit dysfunction going on in Cleveland. What's new? We've been through it plenty of times. But I think Barry is riding his high horse on this draft class, and now he can sit there and look down at Kevin and say, "Oh, you peasant, you're not doing your job. I did mine. I gave you all these good players. Look at all these good rookies." And thinking about the Flacco trade, is it was it to get, Shedeur into that backup role? He kept making him the third string. I personally think they're probably going to bring Zappy up, and they're going to make Zappy the backup. And that's a gangster move by Kevin. Kevin's like, yeah, you ain't going to tell me what I'm going to do with my team, so I'm going to bring this guy up and put him as the backup. And Sanders is still going to be the emergency quarterback. You ain't never going to see this dude on the field as long as I'm head coach. And that's the case. Well, we just talked about the hot seat. If they want Sanders to play, they're going to find a way to make Sanders play. And if it means getting rid of Kevin Stefanski to get somebody in there, they'll say, okay, we'll let Sanders play. They're going to do it. Now, if Gabriel comes out, like he had a good game, if he has another good game in Pittsburgh, we talked about it last week, the perfect opportunity to get him in, which everybody would shut up about. If he does good in Pittsburgh, hell, that might be it. Like, saying you might not see Sanders on the field unless he really does bad. But it's kind of disheartening to see this happening again. I thought we were in a good place with, our coach and our front office. And, as this season, last season and this season, it's been, at least he went, one bad season, one good season, one bad season, one good season. He's at 2 bad seasons in a row. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you survive from this. I really don't, with this, like I said, especially hearing that he was surprised that it actually happened. And I don't know why he's so obsessed with Joe Flacco, about why he wants Joe Flacco. He watched Joe Flacco play like the rest of us. He didn't do a damn thing. The dude made it 4 games where he had to get pulled because he was that bad. That bad. And I'm not, again, is that on Stefanski for his play calling? Was he not putting Joe in the right positions? Is it our players? Is it the receivers? I don't know. You can make a bunch of excuses for it, but definitely, I mean, I was happy to see Joe go. I do feel he's probably going to do well in Cincinnati with Higgins and Chase down there, and he's going to win a couple games. And when Joe Flacco or Joe Burrow comes back, they're going to be ready to go to the playoffs, and we'll be sitting here at 1-16 with our tails between our legs.
Well, I will say, for me, I took it. I kind of see what you're saying with the whole caught by surprise, but listen to Stefanski say. I think Cincinnati called the Browns, so I think to me it sounded like they were all caught off guard. Now, whether once Cincinnati made that call, did Stefanski not know that they were going to trade him, or did they like, hey, Cincinnati called, there's a trade on the table, what do you think? I don't know, but I personally do believe like they're going to make these trades coming forward. To me, like with the not Ward, but Newsome trade and all that, as like a guy that pretty much knows he might still be here next year. And Barry, not saying Stefanski. I think it's personally hard to get rid of Barry after this draft that he had. People are saying, he's on the hook for Watson. Well, I personally think that it was coming from Jimmy Haslam, and he already mentioned that it was on him that he took a swing and miss. So what really can we put on Barry? He was learning through every year. It seems like his drafts seem to get a little bit better. This last year, it's going to be hard to tell, to not tell, but to fire him, in my opinion. I think this draft saved Barry for his job. But yes, Stefanski, it's, are they telling him everything, or is he, like you said, does he know he's on his way out? So you know what, Shedeur? You don't want to play these games. I'm just going to sit there. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm on my way out. I'm going to be stubborn. I'm going to do what I'm going to do and run it, my team, how I want to run. And then after this year, I'll be gone. But I just don't understand. Like, how can we trust Stefanski or anybody coming out of the Browns regime right now? What are we here? The rookies aren't ready to play. The rookies aren't ready to play. All of a sudden, Gabriel's starting. Well, he's been looking good. We've been getting him ready. He's okay. So now you're saying Sanders is far behind. He's not grasping the playbook. It's going to be rarely vanilla. And let's say Gabriel gets hurt at pre-warm-ups and you got to throw Sanders out there. What are you going to do if he doesn't understand the playbook? Do we actually believe that? Do you actually believe Zappy's the guy that's going to be the starting or the backup quarterback over a rookie? What do you got to lose? So what if he ain't prepared? Let him go in there. Let him get freaking tore up. Let him get banged around. Let him go through his lumps. Because if he's not ready and if you don't feel he's, parred up, he's a 5th-round pick, right? So cut him. What do you need him for? It's a 5th-round pick. Yeah, DTR, you were fine with him, but he's not starting like DTR ended up going. You got to let him go be the backup. Let him go through the motions. Let him get more reps. I just don't get the mindset right here, man. And you can't tell me anymore that they're sabotaging Sanders. I'm sorry. I truly believe the guy's good enough to at least be a backup at this point over Zappy. But that's why we're doing this podcast. Now I've got a head start to get the paycheck from the Cleveland Browns. So.
Yeah. And, that's the other thing. It's like, can we trust this organization for what they're saying, that he hasn't grasped the playbook, that he's behind, that is all this, that, and the other? Ultimately, I think football is kind of like a lot of other things in life. You either can do it or you can't. And obviously, he's supposed to be a day one, pick. He's a 5th-round pick, whatever it is. The guy's obviously got some skills. He's on an NFL team. And, if they do pull the move of pulling Zappy off the practice squad to make him the 2nd pick, this is going to be bad in the state. Well, they're in Pittsburgh, so it's not necessarily going to matter. But the next week, if they do that same thing in Cleveland, Dylan's going to get booed. Dylan's and Dylan didn't do anything wrong. Dylan just got drafted. They did that guy a disservice by drafting him and then drafting Shedeur, knowing what Shedeur was going to bring, knowing the fan base he was going to bring, the optimism that he was going to bring. A lot of people look at that guy like he can play, and I've been hearing different things, and some say they want him to have a full, they want Sanders to have a full week before they throw him out there. I don't know what I can trust anymore with any of this stuff. I don't know if they are making the best decisions possible. I think now we're kind of in a pissing match between Stefanski and Barry at this point, which is what it looks like. And they can say all they want about, we're still in we're in lockstep and we're on the same page and this, that, and the other. But I don't know if they are. I don't know if I can believe it. Like at the end of the day, they don't seem like they are. They Yeah. I'm waiting for them to kind of throw Kevin under the bus about that offense, but he just says the same thing. Well, it's on me. I got to do better. Or it's on me. I got to do better. Then do better, dude. Do fucking better. Like, you're not doing better. You say the same shit we're in the same boat we were with sorry ass Hugh Jackson. I'm going to go back and look at the tape. I'm so tired of hear I need to do better. Yes, you do. So do it. Stop saying it. Like, it's wild. If this was me at my job, I'd be fired by now. Like, absolutely underperforming on the one thing that you're supposed to be good at, offense. It's the one goddamn thing you're supposed to be good at, and you're not very good at it. You haven't been good at it. Like you said, fluke season with Flacco. Somehow Flacco just decided to flourish it, and then he shit the bed. Like, and I guess I did put up on Facebook. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I don't want to say I was right, but I was right. I told everybody he was going to shit the bed. I knew he was going to shit the bed because he sucks. He's Joe Flacco. He's fucking awful, and I hate him. That's neither here nor there. We keep going on these tangents about the shit, but this is the frustration of Browns fans, real Browns fans. This is the realness. I'm not going to sit here and blame one side of the ball, the other side of the ball. I'm not going to, to me, it's top down. When you have a company and it's shit, all they're going to do is blame the employees, and that's what we're doing right now. We're blaming the players. It's not the players. It's the people that are managing the players. Players are going out there and doing what they're doing. They got to play. They run the play. Doesn't work. They get out there, run another play. Doesn't work. Is it their fault? Whose fault is it? It's the people that they put on the field, that Barry put on the field, and it's the plays that Stefanski's running. Period. End of story.
Well, I agree with you, man. It starts from the top, right? We got this guy named Dee Podesso that's been here since 2016. What the fuck has he done besides analytics? Analytics ain't working. I'm sorry, guys. We got to be able to get some football guys in here. But being the nerdy, let's look through the calculations. No, get some damn football guys in here. Go recruit some new college kids that are coming out of the drafts. Find guys that can play football and build a team around that. I don't care about, well, in this situation, you have 35%. I don't give a shit. You look how the game's playing. Hey, man, we were running the ball great. We got to figure out how to keep going, making moves. Let's, do something different. I don't care about analytics, man. How deep Pedesto still has a job is fucking beyond me. But, yeah, I'm seeing you eager to say something, man.
Well, we're 54, 80, and 1 since we hired Paul DePodesta. And I heard that it's ridiculous. And then I heard that, these guys like Barry get bonuses for getting so many draft picks in a season, like picking up draft picks, and they get bonuses for how much cap space they roll over. And that's what we're doing every year. These guys are getting paid while they continue to put a shit product on the field. And like analytics obviously isn't working. Like this isn't Moneyball. Like we suck, and we have sucked, and we've had 2 fluke seasons in the last 6 seasons. What are we supposed to do? Like as fans, it's the most frustrating thing to see these guys continue to make these decisions. About this is Haslam. Haslam's one. DePodesta's in there. That's our guy. What has he done? What has he done? Like, can somebody tell me what he has contributed to this team other than losses and 34 more of them? Like, there are 26 more of them. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty bad. Like that again. How are you not fired? Must be nice. Must be nice to make millions of dollars. Shit the bed. They're like weathermen. Like, they can be wrong all the time. They still got a job. They still get paid. That's what they are. They're a bunch of freaking like Cleveland weathermen that, it's going to rain and it doesn't rain, or it's not going to snow and it snows. That's what we get from our front office now. That's what that those people behind them are doing exactly that. Although I will say, the Greg Newsome trade, kind of sad to see it. Greg Newsome's been playing pretty well this season, but he's on the last year of his contract. They probably didn't want to, for the there's that analytics again, for the value they're going to get out of him. Do they really want to pay him what he thinks he's worth? So we went and got a pretty decent young corner. He played well in his first couple seasons, got his paycheck, got his raise, and he hasn't done too well recently. But I think in this defense, he should be a really good addition to the other side of the ball from Denzel Ward.
Yeah, well, I think the trade. Yeah, there's obviously some analytics in that, but I mean, ultimately, I don't think Newsome was going to re-sign here. So basically, you're getting the same player. I know Jacksonville's going to eat pretty much majority of that contract. So now you solidified that spot going into next year. Well, you got Martin Emerson coming back. You have Ward. So that's an issue or not an issue, but a position that you're going into next year that you really don't got to address. Yeah, you might get some depth guys, but Newsome, he can go take his little dance moves and his getting burnt ass and, go down to Duval, bro. Duval. Cool. Yeah.
Duval.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just, I think they're making moves to where you might see some more coming up before the trade deadline. You got Njoku, you got Ford, and I think Teller's, another name I've been hearing to where a lot of these guys are on their last year of their contract, and I think with Fannin the way he's been playing, you can obviously see Njoku. Browns will do him right. Hey, man, we'll trade you to contender. I've been hearing there's, with the injuries out in San Francisco, Kittle, that'd be a good move for him to go out there. Shanahan loves tight ends too. So, that could
he would ball. He would ball in San Francisco. And I'd love to see it because Njoku's a great player. He's a great guy. Like, he would be one that I would hate to lose. But like you said, Fanning has looked pretty damn good. So, I mean, really, do we need Njoku? Do we, if we got our catching tight end, we get our pass, or we get our blocking tight end. Having two catching tight ends, nobody has that. Nobody's doing that. So I could see that
nobody's
happening.
doing it, but we don't know how to do it because, again, we have a fucking coordinator or a coach that doesn't know how to utilize that. But whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ford, I'll give Ford the only thing he can do great right now is pass block, and that's what you're seeing him in third downs to be a pass block, running back. But other than that, I'll be glad to pick him up, take him to the airport, wherever he's got to go, get him out of here, So, if you need a ride, let me know for it. I got you.
Right. So, So yeah, I guess we'll move on to our predictions for this game.
Quick,
Oh, go for it.
I want to mention something before this whole other news that kind of has been rumbling as Watson, man.
Oh,
He's got 2 years, $92 million left. People are like, oh, he's not going to get activated. Well, if he's healthy enough legally to have to activate, you can't sit there at your job and just because you might save some $40 million, if he doesn't take a snap this year, gets activated. You can't just go to an employee that's healthy and you got to go sit this one out. The NFL will step in, they'll step in. So there's a real possibility, guys, that Watson could see the field this year. And I mean, if Gabriel, comes out and shoots the ball, they go to Sanders, or go to Zappy first, and they'll look like shit, and then they'll probably bring in Sanders, and maybe go to Watson. But I don't know. Watson, let's be honest, he was the starting quarterback until he got hurt. They had a tryout showcase basically back in August, I believe it was late August, with Watson. The Banshee was there, Barry was there, Haslam was there. And the reports were he looked pretty good. He was making progress. They came out and said that. So it's going to be interesting. I know fans don't want to hear it. The ends are over it, but I mean, you got a guy for 2 years, $92 million. That's an expensive football, in my opinion. And we're not going to go anywhere this year. Doing shit. You want to find out what you got these young guys, but that's going to be something to pay attention to. I think saying possibly the end of the month activated, but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, in all honesty, I thought with the Joe Flacco trade, that's what it meant. Like I was all the way. Watson's coming back, and I just actually before we got on, I looked on Instagram and I saw he posted a video of him doing his little drills and running around his little cones and throwing the ball, and there's no brace on, there's nothing there, dude. Like he's doing it. You know what I mean? So I can't see why he wouldn't get activated, and I can't see why they wouldn't put him in. The sad thing is here might be. Call me crazy conspiracy theory, but we come out and we do really bad against Pittsburgh. Kevin's out, and Watson then gets activated. We get somebody in there who wants to cater to Watson's skills instead of trying to force him into a system that doesn't work for him. And maybe Watson balls out. I mean, who knows? Like you said, I mean, there's a reason they paid as much for him. There's a reason that other teams wanted to pay that much for him. It wasn't just us that did that, dude. It wasn't just us that said, "Hey, we're going to give you a bunch of money." There were multiple teams. He would damn near signed with Atlanta until we said, "Here's $240 million guaranteed." Naturally, anybody's going to take that. But again, could it be Kevin's playbook? Like, I don't see Kevin catering to any quarterback. Like, and again, that like we've talked about this. I couldn't tell you how many times over the years with these offensive coordinator, these offensive gurus, Pat Shurmur, all these people. None of them catered. Who we did have at one time? Kyle fucking Shanahan. That's neither here nor there. But who wanted that job and who came in with his Excel spreadsheet and his PowerPoint, and they basically told him to kick rocks. Look at him now. Idiots. Anyways, that's probably a Paul DePodesta move too. But maybe it. Who knows? Who knows what happens here? But I'm with you. I don't. It's hard to not want to give up on Watson with what we've seen, but at the end of the day, has he been put in the right situations and the right plays to win? I mean, we saw him. It's not like we haven't seen Stefanski sandbag another quarterback named Baker Mayfield. Kind of put plays out there, put him in positions to look bad, and went in there. See, I told you so. This guy isn't good. And you look at him now, and he's balling out of control. So, maybe the common denominator here is actually Kevin Stefanski and not everyone else. That's all I'm saying. So I agree. And you're right. If Watson comes back, you can't have the dude sitting on the bench. You can't have him holding a clipboard. Like, okay, we got to see what these rookies got. Irregardless, this guy's got 2 years left on his contract. We got to pay him. We still got to pay him $92 million. You know what I mean? So like, you're not, and nobody's taking him. Nobody's taking him off your hands. You know what I mean? So you're really going to get rid of him and eat all that cap? No, they're not going to do that. So if he comes back, I'll root for him, just like I'm rooting for Gabriel, just like I'll root for Zappy if he gets put out there. I don't give a shit. I just want to win. I just want I want to see a quarterback do well, and I'm tired of it. And if that means Kevin's got to go, then Kevin's got to go.
it's going to be interesting,
Yeah.
And here we are, Pittsburgh week, right?
Yep.
Usually we're pumped up. It's Pittsburgh week. Let's go. There ain't no rivalry anymore, man. It's yeah, we can hate them. They're close, but we suck, man. We suck. They don't give a shit about us. We went up there. We had them. Another buddy of ours, Timmy Menser, we went up there a couple years ago. The day Chubb got hurt, and they felt bad for us, man. They were buying us beers. And then Chubb got hurt, and then they really felt bad. They don't look at us as a rival. Baltimore and Cincinnati, them are right, not us. I know us, our generation, people older than us, it used to be a rival. But to the younger generation, they don't give a shit. You used to be hyped up for this game, and I don't know, but it is interesting coming this week. Pittsburgh is only 5.5 point favorite. And believe it or not, their defense is ranked down at the bottom. The only thing that they do really well is turn the ball over. I believe I got some things written down here. We can talk in a minute about it, but they average about 2.5 turnovers a game. So that's, why some of the statistics kind of keep them in relevant, but for the most part, they're bottom of their pass. The rush defense, tremendous. So it's 5.5 point, and Rodgers statistically isn't doing that great. Let's see here. With Rodgers, he's rated as a ranked quarterback, most qualified quarterbacks according to the PFF. That's a grade of 50.4. Only Jake Browning, Jackson Burt, and J.J. McCarthy ranked below. Now, why are they 3-1? And it's because, what he's doing well is not throwing the ball down field. He's just throwing check down passes. That puts his turnover ratio is why his TBR rating is up. So if they get the ball out, if you pick this out of any team in the league, you're going to see quick passes. Are we going to be able to do that? Well, yeah, I believe so because we have a lot of man. I know we did some fun last week, but we are a man of the team. So it's going to be interesting. I think that's why the line is set where it's at. And the way the Gabriel and the offense, yeah, we didn't put up 20 points, but we also have a young guy in here. Not a lot of film on. The run game looked good. Then, lacking in the run defense. I can see where Vegas is at home.
No, and we haven't won in Pittsburgh since 2003. So we're at 21 years.
We won the playoff.
But I'm talking regular season in Pittsburgh. We won the playoff game, but I was talking regular season. Yeah, playoffs are they use those records differently, but it's like you said, we were there a few years ago, and I was just talking to somebody the other day at my son's football game about how maddening it was with how nice their fans were to us. Like we're like their significantly younger brother who always wants to tag along and the big brother, and they're so okay, here you go, little boy, here's a beer, go, I mean, it wasn't that condescending, but they didn't even, we weren't a threat. We weren't a threat at all. And that's sad. Like when you go into a place and you're like, yeah, we're going to go in there. We're going to show that we're fans. And they're just like, oh, that's cute. Okay, good luck. And arguably we probably should have won that game. Nick Chubb doesn't go down. We arguably win that game. So it's kind of crappy to go in with this mindset of, do we even have a chance? Like, are we even gonna make it a game? And I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think the Steelers are blowing us out. I do arguably think we have a chance. I think this is one of those games like the Packers game where, a lot of people probably are saying, yeah, right. You know what I mean? The 95% of people, the 5% of the crazy Browns fans like us, but like you said, they don't have a lot of tape on Dillon Gabriel. If we run the ball well, there's no telling what can happen. Will Kevin hold us back in this moment? Possibly. Our defense is going to get after Aaron Rodgers. I'm thinking a lot of sacks for this game. But like you said, they're getting it out quick. It doesn't bode well for the sacks. Doesn't bode well for interceptions. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't think the Steelers are that good of a team even at 3-1. I mean, obviously I know we're not that good of a team, but I feel like we should be 3-2. So it'd be pretty crazy if right now we were going for to battle for the division right now, and instead we're trying to get back into it. So we'll see what happens. And then we're still waiting to hear is Shedeur going to be the backup? I guess we'll find that out tomorrow. Like I said before, I personally think they're probably going to bring Zappy up and make Zappy the backup. So if Shedeur is the backup, there may be a chance that he gets in. Who knows what'll happen with Gabriel. I'm not saying I hope he doesn't get hurt, or I hope we don't get blown out that bad that they're like, hey, throw him in there. But we'll see what happens. I'm gonna probably say I think it'll probably be another low scoring game. I don't think we score 20. I think I'm gonna say. Oh, and I do want to say last week I was right on the score. Just had the teams mixed up. It was 21-17. I said 21-17 Browns, but neither here nor there. I'll go with a 17-14 Browns win. 17-14. I think we don't score 20, but I think our defense holds them.
Well, I got two thoughts on this game. The fan of me, yeah, I think we have a shot. I think the defense is going to kind of keep us in the game. In the fourth quarter, we'll see what happens. Part of me thinks, yeah, we can go over 20 points again with how bad their defense is, but I don't have any faith in Kevin Stefanski right now. So it's kind of hit up in the air, kind of with you around 17 points. I can see it like 16, 13, 17, 14, something like that. But my gut tells me we're going to get it. And I think this is going to be the other turning point where the players are going to start to ask Stefanski. You're going to see maybe edge roll. Maybe Stefanski doesn't come back. He gets fired. Like you said, what,
75%.
Our coaches get fired after the Pittsburgh game. Now, that could be their game for later in the year. This is still early, but I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about this game. I think, J.J. Watt and Myles Garrett, there's a rivalry between them. Obviously, we all know that. But I think personally between them two, they're going to show out. And our line isn't end up still. The line isn't that good. And we'll see. We'll see if they can sustain the pressure because they're going to be bringing the pressure. They're going to be coming after. We're going to be coming after Gabriel. But I think the blowout, I can see it probably be like 28-7, 28-6, something like that. But the fan of me, I like to see it kind of close. I just don't have faith in Stefanski anymore, man. I'm sorry. I think the ship is going just bad, just straight down. After last week, we don't really see things that come up and then they come back up. It's a mess. The Browns are a mess, and I don't see them get any better. I think it could be a blowout. We're going to be the laughing stock. We're going to see it all over social media, all the Pittsburgh, Ohio State / Williamsburg, Ohio. They're going to rub it in our face.
Yep.
Yeah, I just see another, kind of like, I would say kind of the Baltimore game. We were in there, we were hanging around, and then and they're a turnover machine. Maybe this is a day where Gabriel has a bad game, and that going into the next game, it's blown out. Gabriel looks shit. Why should they saying there's not it? Then we're playing, we got Miami after this one.
Do we what?
I think we have Miami coming up.
Yeah, I think Miami's the next game after that at home.
So, that's the other thing you were talking about before we get out of here is, at home, are we going to be booing Gabriel? I think it's going to be you're going to be hearing fire Kevin Trent. It could be you might hear a mix of both.
Well, that's what I think. I think the boos won't necessarily be directed at Dylan, and it's going to be directed at Kevin. But I feel bad that Gabriel even has to be in that situation to start with because of, one, Sanders, but two, how bad Kevin's done. I mean, it's a double whammy, dude. Like Kevin's in a bad spot right now, dude. Bad spot. You got, the quarterback that everybody thinks is our next quarter, our franchise quarterback waiting in the wings, and then you got his terrible play calling. Like it's going to be a bad day in Cleveland if they don't do well against Miami. I'll tell you that. It's going to be definitely a hostile crowd.
But if the defense shows up and they hold them, and maybe we get a turnover too. Maybe we need a defensive touchdown.
Yes.
We get a defensive touchdown and a couple more stops, and we're around 10 to 13 points from our offense, and we're around 20 points there. I could see it possibly changing some things, but
Yeah.
It's the unknown of Kevin right now. The offense, the unknown. Like, well, we know it's bad. I'm saying that Gabriel is. We've seen some new life last week with the run game. We've seen Gabriel be able to down his downfield passing was horrible.
Uh-huh.
But
Hey, it is what it is. We're still going to be there. We're going to be watching it, rooting them on, hoping for the best. It's always go Browns. You know how it goes. We're never going away. We might complain about it. We might, hate it at times, but it's our passion, and we're still going to be behind this team. And let's hope they can pull one out and finally get that win that they haven't had in so long.
all right, well, hey guys, don't forget to check us out on social media. We're all over Twitter, Spotify,
YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah, hit those like button, and then also send us some questions. If you guys want some topics or whatever, just send some info to us. We want to interact with you guys.
Yeah, if you got anything you want us to talk about, like shoot us a message, put it on the comment on one of the videos. There's something you want us to talk about, we'll be happy to do this. I mean, we just basically come up with this stuff during the week and then put the show together. So we're always looking for questions, we're looking for comments, good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to do. So yeah, follow us, talk to us. We're here, we're going to keep doing this, and it's always go Browns. Woo woo woo.